Of terrorist strikes, it is generally acknowledged that the Islamic State has no presence in India. But all that may just be changing. A report in the Hindustan Times Online warns that Khilafa Ansarullah could well be the face of the Islamic State in Jammu and Kashmir. Take a look.
The Islamic State is near collapse in Iraq and Syria. But Kashmir supporters and sympathizers of the group calling themselves Ansarul Khilafa Jammu and Kashmir are stepping up efforts to win adherents, says a news report. They are using an encrypted message service Telegram to disseminate Islamic State propaganda. They are distributing manuals on weapons making. They have called on Jammu and Kashmir police personnel to disobey their officers. They have put out detailed instructions on how to carry out attacks using trucks. They have also identified potential targets. Indian officials insist that the Islamic State has no real presence in India, but a London-based expert tracking online Islamic State activity believes otherwise. Amarnath Amarasingam of the Institute of Strategic Dialogue argues that the interest in Kashmir is very old amongst jihadists, just like their interest in Palestine is old. For them, anywhere they see Muslim suffering is a potential threat of jihad, a place to send help and fight back. Whether it happens is another matter. There is a precedence for Ansarul Khilafa. This was in Kerala when the National Investigations Agency busted a group of 6 men from Kannur district last year. They were plotting Islamic State attacks using Telegram. They had been radicalized online and were led by one Omar al-Hindi. Last Sunday, Ansarul Khilafa paid tribute Sajid Gilkar, a slain terrorist whose body was wrapped in Islamic State flag during his funeral last week. It described him as a mujahid who lived by the flag of Tawheed or monotheism. Ansarul Khilafa has called for uniting all militant groups under one Amir or leader. It called for members who could raise funds. It wanted doctors to treat their injured and scouts to gather intelligence. It renewed its call that the police not target terrorists but only the enemies of Islam. Amar Singham believes that the group should be taken seriously. They could be in touch with the Islamic State in Syria or elsewhere, he has warned, saying, if they are already sharing attack logistics and bomb-making materials, it's only a matter of time before someone takes these steps and carries out something. I hope that law enforcement has infiltrated these online spaces. There's also the point that Pakistan could be infiltrating a new group into Kashmir. There is a view that while an IS-style attack in India might not be imminent, the fact is, with the Islamic State on the retreat in Arab lands, Kashmir could provide a new base. Bureau Report, WION.
All right, joining us on the broadcast to talk more about that story is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, the former GOC of the 15 and 21 Corps. He was also the military secretary and is now a public speaker. Also here with us is WION's correspondent Raghvendra Rao. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you both for being here. General Hasnain, to you first. You just heard that report. Are these credible reports that are being circulated about the presence of ISIS in the Kashmir Valley?
Aisha, let me recount. I remember the year 2005 when the Al-Qaeda in South Asia, or the Al-Qaeda in India, also announced, I think sometime in the month of October, November, that they have entered into Kashmir. And we never heard of them thereafter. In 2014-15, once again anticipating problems in Kashmir, the ISIS, which knows that Kashmir is a conflict theater, which knows that Kashmir is an area where there are perceived grievances, the ISIS also gave out a message of support. And you found the emergence of ISIS flags in some areas in Kashmir along with Pakistani flags. But thereafter we heard nothing. Now we are finding a situation today where, yes, the angst in Kashmir and alienation has gone up manifold. And on the other hand, the ISIS defeated in Mosul and probably be going to be defeated in Raqqa, is going to be probably pushed out of West Asia to a great extent and will be looking for new safe havens. Will Kashmir be that safe haven is the issue. I don't think so.
Okay.
Not for the moment and not the indicators which are being shown today. What Mr. Amarnath has said very correctly, there are some signals, there are some indicators, and we need to be careful about that. We need not discount these completely. But going by the current scheme of things in Kashmir, I think the emergence of flags, etc., is primarily being done to instigate people, and primarily to instigate the Indian Army and the police forces.
All right,
Nothing
stay
more
with
than
me,
that.
General. Let me take some of that across to my colleague Raghvendra Rao. Raghvendra, in that report that we just listened to, in addition to General Hasnain's comments, what I wonder is the operative concern for security agencies and intelligence agencies at this point, the online spaces that IS has sort of infiltrated into and is using rather effectively to spread its propaganda. What sort of checks and balances are in place in India to make sure that that isn't utilized as a propaganda tool the way it has been in other parts of the world?
Well, Aisha, very correct. The fact that IS has been using, internet mediums and social media networks to propagate its philosophies and is going all out. I mean, is losing no opportunity to try and radicalize youth by using, social media tools like WhatsApp or various messaging applications like Telegram. Telegram, incidentally, happens to be one of their favorite messaging tool, so to say, because the kind of security and the kind of encryption it provides. It is of huge concern as far as the internal, India's internal security establishment is concerned. Whatever arrests have been made in connection with youth who have been radicalized by the ISIS in India so far, the trend has been that 90 to 99% of these people had something to do with any of these WhatsApp groups or Telegram messenger groups where they joined in through somebody's reference and got information which went a long way in radicalizing them.
Right.
So yes, the online space is something which the Indian authorities are looking very seriously at. But the fact that many of these applications, they have their servers outside India and many of these services are now encrypted, that poses a huge challenge to the Indian security agencies to crack many of these applications.
Fair enough.
Track these conversations.
Right. General Hasnain, there's no denying that IS has sort of taken over media spaces at least. The conversation keeps coming back to the Islamic State. Do you feel that the evolving nature of terror and its propaganda and its spread is something that agencies in India are at pace with, or do you feel that they're playing catch up at this point in time?
Aisha, when you get inputs in the terror domain, you can never discount them. You have to always take them seriously. And we've just heard a very fine commentary to bring out the methodologies which have been followed all this time, the online radicalization, the instructions which are being sent out in Hindi apparently, attempts being made to instigate and exploit certain contingencies like the Jammu and Kashmir police, which is under intense pressure. All this is a worrisome thing, there's no doubt about it. But to think that it's going to happen overnight, I don't think so. Secondly, rest of India, yes, we have had instances, we've had a footprint of the ISIS. In Kerala, we've had portions of it in Hyderabad, we've had it in Maharashtra. But to say that networks have yet been established, I think is still a little premature. Secondly, as far as Kashmir is concerned, also remember, there is intense competition there from other terrorist groups. We've seen in Pakistan, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan have not welcomed them. They are still in competition and they have not been able to establish themselves in Pakistan or for that matter in Afghanistan to that extent. So I think we got to be wary about it, definitely. The possibility of one-off lone wolf attacks as a demonstration is something which I will not discount.
Okay.
A very much possible thing. It may not happen in Kashmir Valley where there's a large Muslim population, because then the target will be against civilian population which is largely Muslim. It may happen in other parts of India. It may very well happen in a place like Jammu, which is, has a Muslim come Hindu population. It's got a border which is very, very close by, and it's got the potential of large crowds at places such as temples, etc., where there's a large footprint of Indian tourism. Now, this kind of a thing I will not discount.
Okay, so that's a very important point you made, General Hasnain. I'm running out of time on the segment, but you mentioned competition, sir. Let me ask you this. Does the ISIS and the fact that it receives so much global attention prove to be an attractive pull for disenchanted youth in Kashmir?
They will definitely try. You see, there is a degree of alienation in Kashmir which we are all aware of and which you don't deny at the moment. The Kashmiri youth is hitting out left and right, looking for support. They're looking for financial support. They're looking for any kind of an ideological support. And the youth, frankly saying, the kind of youth in Kashmir today who are involved in this do not have the capacity to think through what they are doing. Because we are aware that people who are involved in this are 15 and 16 years old. The potential of actually radicalizing this element of the youth through online methodologies, through instructions being given down by surrogates remains a very high possibility.
All right, we leave it at that, sir. Thanks very much for joining us on the broadcast. Pleasure to have you on WION once again, General Hasnain, as of course my colleague Raghvendra Rao.